guys, today we're going to be chatting all about the Wet n Wild Zodiac Collection. This is one of their latest launches. As I'm filming this, they are just launching the Fire and Ice, which I don't have my hands on. Not sure if they're going to be sending it my way, but they did send me the Zodiac Collection. So I'm going to be doing kind of a review, a hits and misses. There's a few things in here that I think are definitely worth picking up, a few things that I think are worth skipping, showing you lip swatches, and then just a demo of me using one of the eyeshadow palettes along with the highlighters. And if you missed my favorites video for July, there is a giveaway in there, so I will link to that down below. And I did film kind of my complexion products today too, so if that Instagram tutorial is up, I will link it down below, but let's go ahead and get started. So kind of the nitty-gritty and availability pieces for this collection. It is available exclusively in stores at Walmart US, so not coming to Walmart Canada from what I can tell, but if you are looking to purchase this collection, be it America or Canada, you can also purchase from their website. It is available there now, and like any drugstore collection that launches, of course, in store, it's going to vary a lot store to store when it pops up, but technically it should be there now. But be sure to look kind of up high, down low. It can kind of end up in random places. Shipping from the Wet n Wild site to Canada, I know it is definitely pricey. I have voiced this to them, and I know you have too, and they have heard you, and they are working on trying to find a better route to go to make it more affordable, because the products are affordable, but when you have to spend $40 to ship it to your house, it's a little bit less affordable. So let's go ahead and just chat a little bit more about the product. Firstly, the collection itself. I think the idea of a Zodiac collection is super fun. I'm glad to see we're moving away from the rainbows, unicorns, fairies thing. It's fine, but I was just a little bit over it, and this astrology and Zodiac thing I think is a really interesting twist. I think it is a cool way to kind of like personalize products, because then you'll be looking for your sign. The only problem is here is with your sign is a shade you don't like, then you can kind of end up being a little bit disappointed, or you feel like you should buy it. I mean, not necessarily, but that's kind of my thought on it. So it's broken up into the I'm not like well versed in this world, but you have some of the items are like earth, air, what is it? Earth, air, see, I really don't know. Earth, air, water, and fire, and then you have the signs like Capricorn, Aquarius, things like that. So I think it's a cool way if you are into that kind of thing and you didn't want to buy some of the other collections like Bite and ColourPop both have done it, and if you're super obsessed with all that kind of stuff, I think it's super fun. Or this is a really affordable way to get your hands on some kind of Zodiac style products. In addition to that, I think they make really fun gifts. If you have a friend who's a Capricorn and they like makeup or whatever it may be, it's fun to pick up somebody a gift that has their sign on it. I think the idea of a Zodiac collection is interesting because people really believe in this kind of thing and really subscribe to it, and it's been around forever, but even more I feel it's becoming more prevalent in people's, I guess, spirituality, because a lot of people aren't as religious as they once were, but it is interesting and important to have something to believe in, I think. So I think that makes total sense. I personally just like to read my horoscope, and I've always had a good time with that. I myself am an Aquarius. My boyfriend is a Capricorn. Let me know if you have any insight on this. Are we gonna make it? Do we know? Does it make sense that I'm an Aquarius? I love asking people who are super interested in this kind of thing about what they think about me being an Aquarius. Anyways, let's talk about the makeup. I can ramble about this forever. Let's get into it. So I want to start on a high note, and I think that their highlighting bars in this collection are fabulous. Overall, I think Wet n Wild always does a really good job with their pressed and powder highlighters. Their original MegaGlo highlighters are great. I recently reviewed their Flights of Fancy collection, which will be listed down below. All of my Wet n Wild stuff will be listed down below, but these, to me, I think if you pick up anything in this collection, I think that this is a great item to pick up, because not only are they super really cute looking and the packaging is nice and you're getting a ton of product in here. On their website it says they're retailing for $6.99, but the actual product is beautiful. It's so smooth. It's what I have on my cheeks right now, and I think it's a really gorgeous, impactful highlighter. There's no glitter in there, and I think the shades, for the most part, are quite nice. So there's 4 different shades in here. The shade that I'm wearing on this cheek here is Fire, and it looks a little bit deeper, kind of coppery, kind of rosy in the pan, and I thought it just looked beautiful on my skin tone, and I think it'll look beautiful on a bit of a deeper skin tone as well, so definitely love that. Then my second favorite in here is Earth, which is is more gold and it's a little bit lighter. I actually thought I was gonna like Earth more than Fire, but I ended up liking Fire more. But I think Earth is a great one if you enjoy a gold highlighter. It doesn't have a ton of depth in there. And also pressed on the highlighters are kind of like the symbols for all of the signs. Again, I don't know what they're actually called, but I think that this one is beautiful. And of course, Wet n Wild is cruelty-free, and a lot of the items in this line and in their entire line are vegan. They are working towards becoming entirely vegan as well. Then the shade that doesn't really work for my skin tone, but there's nothing wrong with it, it's just a skin tone preference, is Air. This has a little bit more pink in it, a little bit more frostiness, so if you have a more pink undertone, a lighter skin tone, this would still be absolutely beautiful. And the one that just doesn't really do it for me, but of course I know a lot of people will be into it, is the Water, which is of course blue. And it's a little bit different than the other blue highlighters that I've seen in the sense that it has quite a bit of depth to it. It's not that iridescence shift blue, it's a pretty true blue, and yeah, so it's just like, I'm not gonna put this on my cheekbones. I haven't tried to put it on my cheekbones, but if you wanna put it all over your cheekbones, or you could absolutely use it as an eyeshadow, or if you're just a water sign and you wanna put it in your makeup collection and let it collect dust, by all means. The formula is nice. The formula is consistent throughout all 4 of these highlighters, so I definitely recommend these. A highlighter that didn't really do it for me in this collection is their loose highlighter. So this is the Loose Illuminating Highlighter Powder in the shade Written in the Stars. There's just one shade here, and it is a loose highlighter. What I do like about it is that the little openings here are actually stars, which I think is a beautiful touch, because I mean, considering how affordable this collection is, to have those nice touches I think is super special. And there's 2 reasons why I don't like this. The first is the shade. It's too frosty, it's too pink for me. In the demo you'll see me put it on, no, I didn't demo this, sorry, I demoed the other shade that was too pink on my nose. Again, a little bit too pink for my skin tone, but it's just too light. That being said, it is a loose highlighter, so very easy to put on the body, but it's again not the kind of highlighter I would personally put on my body. But the reason that I wouldn't put this on my cheeks, no matter the shade probably, is that I find it too frosty and it has a little tiny bits of glitter in there, in contrast to the other highlighters that I mentioned that are so much more smooth and buttery and gorgeous on the skin. This one to me is just a little too much. So if you have a lighter skin tone and you wanted to use this as a body highlighter, I think that's a great option, because body highlighters I don't feel like you need to spend a ton of money on. You're just kind of like putting it on your shoulders and it's gonna look good no matter what. So I think if you have a lighter skin tone, this may be something to explore, and if you don't mind something a little bit frostier with a little bit of glitter in there, this could be a good option, because this one does retail for $5.99, so a great deal, but just not really for me. So I don't want to end on a low note, so that's why I'm going to continue talking about not necessarily a miss from the collection, but something that I think could have been done better in my opinion. So Wet n Wild sent me this collection to review, and they sent this kind of PR package, and in here, see if I can show it to you because it's massive. If you can see, they have all the signs here. I'm Aquarius, January 20th to February 18th, and it says I'm honest. So I'm gonna be honest with you. So there are 4 different eyeshadow palettes. These are the Color Icon eyeshadow palettes, which are packaged a little bit differently. They're coming in a circle, and there's no mirror on there, which doesn't really bother me. They generally don't do mirrors on their palettes anyways, I'm assuming trying to keep the cost down. But you have Air and Water, and then you also have Earth and Fire. So let's quickly just chat through each of the palettes, and then I'll let you know kind of my thoughts on the palettes overall. So the first palette that you're probably like, why isn't she wearing this on her eyes? But I try to mix it up and not do everything like warm and red every day, because I did a Get Ready With Me last week using the Fenty Beauty palette, and I used similar shades, so I thought I would mix it up for you. But this is the Fire palette, and in each of the palettes you're getting 6 different shades. My issue with this palette, first of all, okay, let me start on a high note with this palette. I do love the shades. I think they're really warm, they're really beautiful. You're getting a gold, a brown, you're getting those reds in there, so super nice, very on trend. But these 2 shades to me are essentially the same. The finish is slightly different, but not enough that you're really gonna notice on the eyes, which I think is unfortunate. But in general, I think it's okay, and the palettes do cost $5. So if there are a few shades in there that you really like and one that you don't like, it's not necessarily gonna set you back a ton of money. But to me, if you're gonna only put put 6 shades in a palette, why do they need to be so similar? I would have liked to see something a little bit different. The water palette I think is really, really interesting. Some really beautiful shades in there, and I don't know if my swatches are really gonna pick it up, but I do feel like this has some super unique shades. And if you're sick of the fire kind of shades, the warms, the rusties that I'm obsessed with, and you wanted something more cool tone, I think there's some really cool shades in here. Or if you were looking to explore in some cooler tones or some blues or something that's a little more icy, this is an affordable way to do it, so you're not going out and spending a bunch of money on a palette and ending up not liking it. So I do think all the shades in here are quite good. They're unique enough, and it's an interesting mix of shades. You can definitely get a full look out of it, and I do appreciate that they've put some pretty cool toned but also cool shades in here. Next up we have the Air palette, which is a little bit more kind of purple and gold. Again, an interesting selection of shades in here. None are incredibly similar. They're different enough. I do think it could have used a smidge more depth, but it is an Air palette, so I know it's trying to be a little bit more airy, a little bit more light. Reminds me slightly of the Petal Pusher palette, those kind of shades, and to me I think yeah, to me I think Petal Pusher is a little bit better, but for a different reason than the shades, and I'll get to that momentarily. And then the last palette, which is primarily what I'm wearing on my eyes, this one is the Earth palette, and I love this. I think the shades in here are super, super cool, but my issue is with these two browns here, the kind of more matte brown in here barely shows up. Like, I was trying to put that on my finger forever and I didn't think that that was good, but otherwise I think that these shades are so beautiful together. I think they're really cool, and it's a really cool palette. My issue with these palettes though is that they can do better. It's not a quality thing, it's not a shade selection thing, it's the fact that they're coming in these round palettes that are not split up. The pans, some of the sizes are really small, some of them are really big. It's hard to get your finger in there. When I was swatching them, one of the shades I had to re-swatch like about 3 or 4 times because my finger kept touching the other shade. A lot of the time people use brushes, but I use my fingers a lot for my eyeshadows, and I don't have like tiny little, you know, baby fingers to get in there and make sure that I'm not mixing up the shades. To complete this look today, I ended up using their Comfort Zone palette, firstly because I needed, also because I needed a matte. There's basically no mattes in these palettes, and kind of my thinking on this is that this is like something Wet n Wild would have done 3 years ago before they knew better, because they've released these palettes now. The Flights of Fancy collection palettes are out. Those are beautiful. The Fire and Ice collection is out. Those look good because they have separate pans. There's matte shades in there, and you can get a complete look. For me, I cannot get a complete look without a matte shade. I mean, I can, but I don't want to, and it's not necessary. They know better. You know what I mean? I'm just being an honest Aquarius. I understand that they were trying to do something different, probably. I mean, I can't totally tell what goes on in the boardroom there, but I'm assuming they were trying to do something a little bit different, something that looked a little bit more cool, perhaps to be kind of more Zodiac a little bit. But at the end of the day, if they had just made a really great palettes, because I think the actual shade selections are super cool, they're really unique. In my mind, it doesn't look to be much else out there like it in those kind of formations of shades. So if they had just put those in those existing little kind of 5-6 pan palettes that they have and separated them and just added like a 1 matte, I think we really could have been somewhere with these palettes because the shades are super unique. But to me, it's annoying, and I'm not going to reach for a palette that doesn't have a matte and doesn't separate their shades and just has it all mushed together, because it gets messy and it's harder to work with, and that's not necessary. And they have created incredible shadows. So to me, these eyeshadow palettes are doubly disappointing, if that's a word, because I love the shades and I think they're super unique, but I think the actual layout is poor, and that's not going to cause me to use them, and they are missing the matte. That being said, if you do see them and you think the shades are cool, I do like the quality of most of the palettes. I think it's good. I think Wet n Wild makes some of the best eyeshadows at the drugstore, so I'm not saying that these are like a complete fail, but I just feel like I hold Wet n Wild to a higher standard, and I expected them to come out with something. I expected them to like know better, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm like scolding them. I'm like, bad Wet n Wild. But I love the shades. I think the quality is great for the most part, but it's just, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me show you how I got this eye look. So as I mentioned, I started off with the Wet n Wild Color Icon Comfort Zone palette, and I used shade 1, which is a nice kind of matte, warm transition shade, just to add a little bit of depth. I have to start a look like that. I mean, I could skip it, but I didn't really want to. Then I went in with the Earth palette, as I mentioned, and used that deep green. I thought it was really beautiful, really impactful. The shades have like a light overspray on them, but not to the point where the shade is actually different than what it looks like, which I appreciate. And then in my outer corner, I decided to reach for the brown out of the Fire palette. Some of them are more metallic. At the end of the day, they're all satin shades, but some of them are a little more metallic than the others. So the more satin shades you could reach for to add depth. And if you do end up grabbing one of these palettes, you can always put a bronzer in the crease. And then back to the Earth palette, I grabbed that kind of greeny gold, which I think is so beautiful and super cool. Piled a bunch of that on my inner corner. Really beautiful, impactful color, and I love the way it paired with the green. And then on my lower lash line, I wanted to reach for the Water palette, and I just ran a little bit of that blue on my waterline. So yeah, let me know what you think about those eyeshadow palettes, if you planned on picking them up, or how you feel about them being kind of connected. It's just like not the best way to go about it in my opinion. So let's go ahead and move on to the lip glosses. So I think these Color Icon lip glosses are super fun. These are actually named after the, Capricorn, Aries, Aquarius signs. So again, a really great gift item or a fun thing to pick up for yourself if you happen to like your shade or someone else's sign. It doesn't really matter, you do you. But I do like the Color Icon lip glosses historically. Had a good experience with them. They have a nice flat brush. They're not super scented. So the difference here is that some of them are very metallic, some of them are quite sparkly and glittery, and some of them are more of like a shiny cream formula. So it's gonna kind of depend on what you like. For me, I am very, very excited that I ended up liking my shade. It's not the kind of shade I would wear on its own, and by my shade I mean my sign. For Aquarius, it's kind of this like peach with like a gold running through it. I'm glad it's not like a blue sparkly because it's a water sign. And it's the kind of thing that I would wear, and did wear actually last night, over kind of a deeper lip liner, and then kind of put this in the center, and I thought it was really, really beautiful. My favorites out of this collection are the Aquarius that I mentioned. I really ended up liking Capricorn as well. It's nothing I would have grabbed for, but I think it's beautiful. A lot of these would make incredible layering lip glosses just to add a little bit of difference to the lip. And then I thought Leo was cool. Is it Leo? No, sorry, Gemini, because it's a pure gold and a little bit tricky to wear on its own, but again, a really great layering shade. And any of these that have like a pink reflect running through them, so Taurus, Libra, and Leo, I think are all really beautiful as well. It's not that I don't love the other ones, but the other ones have a little bit more of a bluey iridescence running through them, which isn't generally my preference. I like something more warm, more pink, more gold on my lips. And when I did these lip swatches, I actually meant to film them before I put on my eye look, because this is quite an aggressive eye look, and then the lip glosses are quite aggressive. But you'll just kind of have to imagine that I'm wearing an eye look that matches all of these lip glosses. But let's go ahead and get into the swatches. Enjoy these lip glosses. I think they're comfortable, they're not sticky. That being said, some of the glittery ones are a little bit gritty. That doesn't bother me too much. Right now I'm wearing one of them just kind of lightly, and when I rub my lips together I am getting a little bit of that grit, but it's nothing crazy. But I can see that really annoying some people. Some of the formulas are more creamy, like I mentioned, and some have a light shimmer, but you'll be able to tell that by looking at them. And I will also have blog post swatches down below, so you can see them up a little more close if you're trying to figure out what shade you may want to pick up for yourself. So overall, I think this is a super fun and nice collection. As I mentioned, I think the best for me are the highlighters. Incredible incredible as always. Such a good deal. They look high-end, beautiful, beautiful shades. Then a lot of the lip glosses I think are really, really gorgeous too. Definitely recommend picking those up. They are retailing for $2.99 on their website, which is an incredible deal. And I also forgot to mention they have bundles. So there's an air, earth, water, and fire bundle that has 3 lip glosses, the matching highlighter, and then the eyeshadow palette as well. So if you do happen to like an entire bundle, you can get that for $20.99, and you can pick up the air, earth, fire, or water bundle. Why is it so hard for me to remember those 4 things? But overall, I do really like this collection. Wish the eyeshadow palettes had been laid out a little bit more differently. That to me is just a little bit annoying to me that they come in this format. That being said, let me know if you do plan on picking anything up, and it is kind of a good time to purchase from the Wet n Wild website now because they do have the Fire and Ice collection, the Zodiac collection, the Flights of Fancy. A lot of that is still there, and in addition to that, all their great new permanent items, which are amazing. So everything's kind of there if you were looking to purchase, and if I do get my hands on the Fire and Ice collection, I'll be sure to try and get a review up for you as well. Don't forget to enter my giveaway, which is listed down below. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at samanthajane YT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!